Hello everyone and welcome back. We've got another trade deadline recap to discuss. So we've got all the trade deadlines moves. We've got some more of them in part 2 of my video coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the N10 Talk channel. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you for all your support. I'll never be able to do without you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. And don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below discussing all those discussed in today's video. Now, we already did our trade deadline video. It was a very busy trade deadline day. It was very interesting. Whether it's either Friday night that I'm posting this or Saturday morning, it was a very interesting trade deadline. So we're just going to discuss all the moves that happened on trade deadline day. So we already talked about a handful of them. We're going to talk about another handful of them right here. So we're going to start with a simple trade that's not really huge to discuss. Malcom Subban, who was a third stringer in St. Louis, was moved to the Columbus Blue Jackets in exchange for future considerations. So the Blues moved the Jackets a third string goaltender, should be able to help them if they run into some injuries. So really good pickup there for the Jackets. Then we saw a depth move between the Penguins and New York Rangers. The Pittsburgh Penguins acquired a 2027 fourth round pick from the New York Rangers in exchange for defenseman Chad Ruhwedel. That's a pretty good pickup there for the Rangers. I mean, Ruhwedel, he's not a solid NHL defenseman at this point in time, but he can be a depth guy, especially on a team like the Rangers. He can be a solid 6th, 7th D. He's in the final year of his deal. He's a pending UFA at the end of the year. Put 4 points in 47 games this year. Hasn't been a really overly productive defenseman, so that's a pretty good pickup there for the Rangers, getting a depth D for only a 4th round pick. And for the Penguins, with them not bringing Ruhwedel back, moving him was a pretty good pickup there. So really good move there. We also saw the Rangers make another move, acquiring Jack Roslovic from the Columbus Blue Jackets. There's $2 million retained on that salary, so 50% of his contract. So the Rangers get Roslovic at $2 million from the Jackets in exchange for a 2026 4th round pick that's conditional. It upgrades to a 2026 3rd round pick if the Rangers make it to the finals, and Roslovic plays in 50% of the games, so that's a pretty decent one. And if the Rangers are able to make the playoffs and Roslovic plays in 50% of the games, the Jackets will get a 3rd rounder and not a 4th rounder, so it's a pretty good deal. Jackets are able to get something at least for a pending UFA they weren't bringing back. Meanwhile, for Roslovic, he's not had the best of seasons this year. Only had 23 points in 40 games this year. Has been injured a couple of times too. Last year had 44 points. The year before had 45 points, so he's nowhere close to where he was last year. So he's definitely having an off year. So it's a decent pickup there for the Rangers. They get another solid middle 6 winger. We talked about them getting Wennberg a little while ago. So adding Roslovic is going to be a fantastic pickup there for the Jackets, and I think this is going to be a really good pickup there for them. So some pretty good additions there for the Rangers, getting Roslovic and getting Ruhwedel and not giving up too much for them. So some pretty good pickups there. Then we saw the New Jersey Devils and Winnipeg Jets took up on multiple trades. I'll talk about both of them here. So first, the Jets acquired Miller from the New Jersey Devils in exchange for a 2026 4th round pick. It's the Jets. So that's a pretty decent trade, Miller for a 4th round pick. And then we saw the bigger one, which was the Winnipeg Jets acquired Tyler Toffoli with half of his contract retained, so a $2.125 million cap hit, from the New Jersey Devils in exchange for a 2024 3rd round pick and a 2025 2nd round pick. So if you add these two guys both together, these are some pretty good pickups. The Devils, we know that they're on the bubble right now of making the playoffs, but there's no guarantee, so they want to move off some of their pending UFAs. Toffoli, we've been hearing a lot about him being moved over the last little bit. Miller, there was some talk earlier on trade deadline day that he was going to get moved, so both are able to get moved. They get a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 4th round pick, a 2nd in next year's draft, a 3rd in this year's draft, and a 4th round pick in 2 years this time's draft. So for the Devils, it's a pretty good haul. I mean, for Miller getting a 4th, it's a pretty good deal for them. For getting a 2nd and a 3rd is a little bit underwhelming to get Toffoli. I mean, there was a lot of talk he would get a 1st round pick plus, so I'm a little bit surprised he only took a 2nd and a 3rd to get Toffoli, but it is an interesting deal, and they are at least able to get a couple of decent additions there from moving Tyler Toffoli. So it's a pretty good pickup there for the Devils. Meanwhile, for the Jets, they get a couple of decent players. I mean, Toffoli at $2.125 million is pretty much a steal. Also, acquiring him and not giving up a 1st is also a pretty good steal for them. So far, he's having 26 goals and 44 points in 61 games. Not to the extent he had last year, where he had 73 points in 82 games, but he's having another phenomenal season. So that's a pretty good pickup there for the Jets, and it really does make that top 9 lethal with guys like Scheifele, Ehlers, Velarde. You also got Perfetti, Connor. I mean, that just adds another element to their forward group. Well, Miller, he's not a huge addition there for the Winnipeg Jets, but he's going to add some depth to that blue line. I mean, they already have have some pretty good depth, but Miller does bring playoff experience. Does know what it takes to win the playoffs. I mean, he has 4 goals, 8 assists in 41 games so far this year with the Devils, after having 21 points last year in 79 games with Dallas. So not having the greatest of seasons either. There's been a healthy scratch at some points, but still, Miller's a really good depth defenseman. He can be a solid 6th, 7th D on the Jets, and I think he should be able to fit in extremely well. So the Jets are able to get a couple of really good pickups there. Then we saw the Detroit Red Wings and San Jose Sharks make a deal. It was a pretty interesting one. The San Jose Sharks acquired Kostin from the Detroit Red Wings in exchange for Simek and a 2024 7th round pick, which was New Jersey. So the Red Wings are able to get a depth defenseman in Simek. Now he's buried in the AHL right now, has not played an NHL game of action this year. He's in the final year of his deal. He's got 4 goals, 16 points in 40 games at the AHL level. He should be able to be a solid depth addition if they run into a lot of injuries. Simek can definitely be a guy who they can call up and is like a solid third-pair defenseman, but for a time being, he's probably not going to get very much action. So some interesting stuff there for Simek. And then they also moved Kostin, who's going to really strengthen that bomb 6 in San Jose. Kostin signed for this year plus next year a $2 million cap hit. They moved a couple of guys out, San Jose did, so they needed some more depth on their team. So Kostin has only gone to 33 games with the Red Wings, putting up 3 goals, 4 points. Should be a solid bomb 6 addition there for the Sharks, not only for this year, but for next year too. So that's a pretty good move there for the Sharks to add a solid bomb 6 forward and only give up a depth defenseman who's not playing at the NHL level right now and a 7th round pick. So pretty good move there in my opinion. And then we also saw another really decent deal by the Buffalo Sabres. The Sabres were able to get a 2024 4th round pick from the Philadelphia Flyers in exchange for Erik Johnson. Now for the Sabres, there's a lot of talk they were going to move Erik Johnson. They do. Not too surprised there. They get a 4th round pick in return. It's a UFA who they were never going to retain, so getting a 4th round pick is a pretty good return for them. Meanwhile, Erik Johnson in Philadelphia, that should be a really good addition. They moved Walker recently, so they do have a little bit of a hole on their blue line. Johnson should be a good veteran presence on a very young blue line. He's got 3 goals so far this year in 50 games, so he should be able to be a solid addition there for the Philadelphia Flyers. And even though they probably won't retain him long term, he should be a really good veteran addition there for that team. So we've got a lot of interesting moves here, including Erik Johnson to Philadelphia, Kostin to San Jose. We got Toffoli and Miller both going to Winnipeg. We got Ruhwedel and Roslovic both going to NYR, and we've also got Malcom Subban heading to the Columbus Blue Jackets. So a lot of interesting moves there. And don't forget to stay tuned for part 3 of my trade deadline video recaps. We'll get to all of that coming up in our next video. But that's all I'm going to talk about for today. Remember to like this video, and if you're related to it, remember to subscribe down below. Thank you for all your support. Don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below so I can discuss in today's video. I also do a blog, talk about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that, so if you check that out, I'll leave a link down in the description below. And I can't wait to see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.